I'd be telling him there are really two things we need out of this meeting. Number one is to let Putin know that if he considers any more adventures in Europe, Ukraine, Crimea, things like that, to boost his popularity at home, to trigger the kind of nationalism he needs at a time of flagging support, he better think twice about that. That the old guy, the Trump guy, he's not here anymore, and that we would, coalesce our allies to resist that. More important for America, though, is the second message you'd want him to convey to Putin, and it's on deterring their use of cyber technology to attack our electoral system and our companies. And there, I think the most effective message would be for Biden to reach into his breast pocket and pull out transcripts of Putin's last 10 conversations with his mistress, and let him know that we are onto him. We can respond in kind and then some, and we will do so. That the other guy isn't there anymore. And those are the two things we need out of this summit. Most of all this other happy talk about climate change and whatnot. This summit is much more important for Putin and his status at home than it is for us. But on these two deterrence questions, I think that's vital.
Do you think the conversations actually happen like that? I ask completely seriously, which is to say, how do you have these, what I imagine have to be very difficult, complicated discussions?
I've never been in one, so I can't say for sure, although I've read about them. But it may not be quite that blunt, but I have no doubt that Biden does not intend to leave that villa in Geneva without conveying to Putin on the cyber issue in particular, which is now kind of the nuclear missile issue of our age of the Cold War, on the cyber issue that we will respond in kind and then some to further Russian hacks of our companies and our government system.
And when you think about the press conference that we're going to see a little bit later today, after however many hours this meeting takes place, I imagine there will be dueling press conferences with dueling versions of what happened and dueling versions of wins that come out of a meeting like this. How do you think we should reconcile that or think about that even in advance?
Well, again, to be honest, Andrew, I think the whole thing's been overblown because we actually, other than those deterrence questions, there's not much we want from Russia. Russia's main export, 52%, is oil and gas. All they really sell to the world is, that we are interested in is vodka, caviar, and Matryoshka dolls. All right. 2% of Russia's exports are computers, and advanced technology like that. I mean, do you know anyone with a Russian watch or Russian computer? So, this is a country that really has under Putin thrown everything into, basically drilling the ground and not unlocking the talent of its people. It's just not that much we have to discuss. The problem for us is that Vladimir Putin has been America's ex-boyfriend from hell. America's ex-boyfriend from hell. He just won't go away. We really want to date other people. We really want to focus on China, but he won't go away because his relationship with us, his ability to say, I'm meeting as an equal with the American president, just like my predecessors did, is so important for building his flagging support at home.
The ex-boyfriend from hell is one way to put it. You mentioned China. Let's go there before we go to the Middle East for just a moment, which is to say that the G7, you saw President Biden meeting with the other leaders of the G7, effectively to try to create some kind of leverage, if you will, against China. I'm curious how successful you think that will be.
I will tell you, in talking to American business leaders in recent weeks, who have been talking to their European counterparts, there's still a lot of wariness in Europe about where America is after the last 4 years of being hit with tariffs and whatnot. I think the most important part of this trip is what happened with Biden's meetings at NATO and, even more importantly, the European Union. The only way, Andrew, for us to effectively deal with China is with a coalition of all the major Western economies. The Cold War was fought and won in Berlin with Russia. The Cold War with China will be fought and won with in Berlin. What I mean by that is which side has the European Union centered in Germany with it is the side that will have the most leverage. Will the EU tilt toward China? Will it tilt toward us? That's still in more play, than I would be comfortable with. So I think that was very important, rebuilding that coalition so we can go to the negotiating table with China and say, let me introduce you to my allies over here. They're called Korea and Japan. Let me introduce you to my allies over here. They're called the European Union. And together, we're going to come at you in pursuit of universal, values, rules, and norms on trade. That, to me, is the key issue.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.